Brooke too. And then Jamie's doing the...
Folks, how about another hand for the casting crew that
I didn't properly kidnap everybody. I gave them too much time to exit.
We don't.
If Riverfront is easy, we lock the doors.
We don't have a long storied history of
We
doing
do.
these talkbacks, but we're
turn
happy to
off all
do
the
it with
lights
you
and lock the
tonight.
doors.
So we're going to ask a few questions from the audience to the cast, and I have this baby microphone that can be passed around to whoever is speaking, other than Caitlin. I'm so sorry.
No, you're good.
Yeah, he gave me my, he gave me my own.
Well,
and
I
didn't
got
have
these
bacon
nifty
me.
mics for a reason.
Okay.
It's like an AirPod.
Echoey though, so I feel like.
Carolyn feels faith in the acoustics.
Yes, thank you.
But thank you guys for coming. Really appreciate it. First show of the season that Caitlin has worked really, really hard on. Brooke, everyone, Brooke Stearns. Reed
First-time
and
stage manager, full-time legend.
Reed and Randy, and I mean all the volunteers we have. Just
This cast.
really had fun. Ethan, of course.
Ethan, of course. Ethan's like, please, nobody perceive me.
Ethan's wonderful. He's been running our light board. And just running around.
Thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
Intro music.
I've never done this before, so if you just want to get started taking questions.
Sure. Okay. So the GOAT is the first show in our Sapphire season, which is our 65th anniversary season. It was named the Sapphire season because the gift that you get for a 65th anniversary is a sapphire.
Not a goat.
It's not a goat. No. So the tagline of our anniversary season is "Every family has a jewel." I picked the GOAT, Freaky Friday, and Next to Normal as all of our dysfunctional family tropes. So the GOAT, or Who is Silvia, is our first dysfunctional family of the season. So if anyone has any questions about why this selection was made, it is definitely a more provocative, risque choice for Riverfront about why we're here in this space. For any of our actors, about some of their riveting choices that they've made here on stage. Any questions for Brooke, who's taken on a new role? She's also on our board. Questions for Jamie. Jamie and myself are both in brand new roles on our board. I'm the artistic director, he's the president. Reed here is the assistant director. He was involved last season in Constellations with me, and now he has stepped into the assistant director role for this production. So there's plenty of categories to pick from in this Jeopardy, and there are no wrong questions, only wrong answers. So please feel free to pick anything you want. Oh my goodness, so many hands to pick from.
Hannah, go ahead.
I'd be interested to hear from the actors. What do you think happens next?
Thank you. That was
You have to clean up the glass.
Well, we decided that I fixed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's dead, and we will go on.
Stay together.
Yeah, absolutely. Like there is no divorce.
It's almost like a relief at the end for Martin.
And I feel like Billy's gonna go to therapy for life.
So the person that wrote this, he has done a lot of other
Yes, Edward Albee. He also, so this is a Tony Award winning play. It came out in 2000. It won the Tony in 2003. And Edward Albee also wrote Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, which was just at the Pittsburgh Public. He's a very famous playwright, but those are his most famous works. He wrote this play as a challenge to society's liberalism. How far will a liberal mindset go as far as acceptance? So his work is well known as being absurdist, challenging the norms in romantic relationships, the norms of society, intellectual banter, and the dynamics of male-female relationships. So he is an American-based playwright as well, so you'll usually see some sort of like social or political dynamic played out as well. in his concepts.
But that was quite a gap between Who's Afraid of Virginia.
Yes.
Yeah, he did a play called In a Forest Dark and Deep. I saw it when I was in London. So yeah, like Caitlin said, Edward Albee's one of the most respected and revered playwrights of the last 50 years. And that was also about a different kind of relationship, but Forest Dark and Deep, meaning how you wind
Right.
through a relationship.
Oh, the play he's talking about.
Good question.
So,
Yes.
the one scene where
say, I don't know
Billy
that one.
was kissing your dad, I thought that was interesting, and I'm trying to come to terms with what were we seeing there? I mean, was it like, because it's already understood that you're gay, but was this?
Yeah. So I was wondering as well how the same, not dynamic, but the same concept of being in love with an animal and then a human who has a completely different understanding of love and emotions, and just having that connection. It was so brief, that was touched upon right at the end. It was, it just came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I wonder, how is that? Is that the same? How is that the same? Because it's vulnerability. Or is it?
Do you want me? Do you want me to take you story?
Yeah.
So I think the three of us, we had some really deep conversation about how we were going to handle the kiss between father and son, because it's so interpretive depending on how you're going to handle the subject matter. Some people really want to lean in on that subject matter. Some people really want to lean in on really how deep of an affliction Martin is in, and they want to make this incestuous kind of relationship something it isn't. Edward Albee was also a gay man who clearly projects some of his feelings, or his feelings that he couldn't portray in his own personal life into his work, which I think really speaks on his ideals of what a traditional marriage looks like. And I think sometimes his portrayal of a traditional man acting out in bestiality and then making it a linear plot line to homosexuality or bestiality is sort of a self-reflection. The reason that we did not decide to delve into an incestuous relationship between father and son is because we didn't feel that was the trope that Martin was dealing with. He wasn't a man who was molesting or engaging in sexual behavior with his son. His son was engaging in that kiss with him because he was so devastated that his father could neglect him and give love and devotion and complete understanding to an animal, but not offer the same sort of complete understanding to him. And it comes from a place of jealousy, envy, desperation for his love that Silvia has that Billy does not. So, I mean, even the use of the word Billy is in Billy Goat. But, so Silvia, has the privilege of having his father's unfathomable love and devotion, and he's willing to risk it all for this animal. But for Billy, he hasn't fully, we see even when he calls him a fucking faggot, he's so sharp and he's so quick to unfold all of his democratic liberal beliefs. As soon as tension arises, he's not fully committed to acceptance to Billy, but he's willing to risk it all for this goat, and it's really an act of desperation for love.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Spence.
When I read this write up of how the play goes, I didn't like it. But I think the actors did a phenomenal job, frankly. But I was going to ask you, Steph, how believable do you think the plot is?
how believable is it? I mean, well, you got to look at the playwright. He's an absurdist playwright, so he comes in with that lens. But I mean, I don't think it's very believable. Personally, I think when it was written, the zeitgeist was with Clinton and Monica Lewinsky, and so was that. So Martin is a narcissist. So that part of it's true. Someone being so narcissistic, they think they're so entitled they can get away with anything. And the only time he really, going back to the kiss with Billy, he says he loves me. You know, everything's about Martin. Like, he loves me. Don't you? That's how he argues with Ross. That's the only connection he has. That's the connection he finally has with Billy in the whole play, is when he says, he's. So whether it's believable or not, the fucking of a goat, no. But someone being so entitled and lives their life just in an oblivious way. I mean, there's no malice to Martin. He's just, it's always worked.
Have you ever seen
no consequences?
Have you ever seen goats mating? Have you ever seen a goat mate?
I think maybe on one YouTube video I did. Yeah.
YouTube?
Well, I've seen it frequently because we have goats. We'll take the goats to the bread and a goat's penis is thinner than my little finger. It's a male goat.
We'll make sure to give you their address.
So Silvia does want him.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Wasn't it the other way around?
That is unbelievable.
So anatomically, you're saying a female goat wouldn't be able to handle the girth of a male human.
A female goat will only stand for a male goat when it's in estrus, which is basically in the fall, in November, October, November. So I don't think it's believable. No,
You're talking about fucking a goose too. I mean, fucking goose.
It does happen.
That took an odd turn, didn't it?
It's the suspension of belief in the theater. I respect what you're saying though, Mr. Spatz, because dramaturgically, Edward Albee clearly didn't have a dramaturg look into that, and that's apprehensive.
Down to the two breast line.
It would have been.
Yeah, there's only two nipples.
It would have been more
Yeah.
believable if it was a llama.
Jonathan, I would love to see you tell Edward Albee that.
My younger brother.
It'd be more believable.
This is who has the goat.
I know, I get it.
My younger brother was an assistant zookeeper in the Munich Zoo in Bavaria, Germany. One day he came out to a commotion, and one of his hands, who's from the Middle East, was plugged in the back of a llama. And it was causing a commotion with the German people. Oh, what's going on? And they called the police, the security guy. And the gopher said, you've got to stop that. And the hand said, okay, but I'm finished. So it could happen, but I don't find it believable with it. Well, one thing I would like to say, I think you actors did a phenomenal job for a play which I really the emotion that goes into it is unbelievable quality for all of you. Billy, wonderful, fabulous. But one thing, I suddenly realized how much I disliked the play, but then I started to think, I'm really glad the play was on. I wish the members of our current administration could be forced to watch this play.
Thank you so much for saying that.
Antidote to what's there. I would love that.
We had
Thank you for putting it on.
Thank you, Jonathan, for saying that. I really appreciate you saying that, and I really appreciate you coming and seeing the play, even though you didn't like it upon reading it. I appreciate you coming and taking the time to see it realized, even though your first interaction with it was disbelief, and which valid, and wasn't a direct attraction to it, but also the fact that you can find such relevance in it is one of my biggest attractions to it at this current time, and it makes me feel really positive that you can see that, and you can see the correlation to today's elitism in it, because I think that that's where some of the believability comes through in this piece is the fact that things like the Epstein case,
What?
things like the Jeffrey Epstein case,
Oh, yeah.
where you look at the elite and things like this only seem to be possible with people of that amount of wealth or elitism. When you run out of things and to entertain yourself or to create euphoria with, this is what you end up with, is a reality that seems unbelievable. And I think that that's where we've landed in our current administration when we wake up every day and things seem unbelievable, but they absolutely are happening. And I think to sit people in an audience and show them that this is an upper class family of 25 years ago, and these might have been the people that were rubbing elbows with the elite of that time who we are now seeing in files we haven't even uncovered yet. These are the people that would have had access to men who could have done the unimaginable. Like, this is the point of what I'm trying to say, is that when you have the most amount of power in your area, in your region, in the world, the unimaginable is absolutely imaginable. And I appreciate you coming here and you seeing such a direct correlation to it in somewhere as small as Trafford.
Well, I think it has value in the same way that Greek tragedy has a value, live through things. But I'm beginning to see the real value is as an antidote and a contrast to what's happening with these. I've gone to a church and seen the church quite 45 years, but these evangelicals preaching on one side, they should be exposed to something like this. They should be exposed to it. And then if they did, they see the contrast from their holier-than-thou system of life. It would be a good thing to do.
We've got time for one more. Good question?
Hannah also has her hand raised.
Oh, sure.
Hasn't gone though, please go over me, so.
Well, I was just gonna ask, did anyone have any trouble meshing, finding their voice in their, not position, their role? Like, I don't know, just becoming that person. If that makes sense, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I understand, because like, this is, personally, I'm 21 and I haven't done like a straight play in like 3 years. So to go from doing like some prose thing that I was in, some Shakespearean prose thing I was in 3 years ago, to very high level like absurdist piece, which is like such a different style and depth of writing.
With SpongeBob in the middle, too.
With SpongeBob in the middle, yeah. My last show here was SpongeBob, so.
As SpongeBob.
So take that into note.
Range.
So going from something so separated from reality to something absurd in its circumstance, but like Caitlin has been saying, so close and a reaction to reality, current reality, was crazy. And I think it was finding the absurdism, separating that, and finding the truth behind what is being said and what Billy's actions are and why Billy kisses Martin in that moment, and the goat, just the whole concept.
But you've done such a beautiful job, and you've, like, the amount of growth, it's like, you know, it's been so incredible to watch you step into this process, right out of a process. Theo is a full-time student at Point Park University, was in 12 Ophelias, and actually spent half of our rehearsal process doing another show, and came in later in the process and has done such a remarkable job of finding the voice of Billy. And I you know, takes incredible notes, and it's just a testament to, you know, his craft, and takes notes very seriously, always comes back, always is prepared, and every rehearsal shows a fresh new take on the work and the challenges that he's given. And I couldn't be happier with the results that you bring every single time.
You're welcome.
say one more thing. I just was really impressed with all the actors and how fluid everything was. And actually, everyone's role, the way you interacted, there was no hesitation, there was no point where, wow, this isn't real. It felt very real and legitimate. And I gotta give you kudos, because it's gotta be tough, you know, being up there, and it's a continual, you know, repertoire between all of you guys, and it was really believable. I have to say, you guys did an amazing job, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Any other thoughts, questions?
Hannah,
Is there one
do
more?
you have a question you'd
yeah.
like to ask?
No, more just a comment. I think when I'm sort of off what he said about like sort of reading the prompt of the script, and I think a lot of people maybe just read sort of the premise of like online, like it's about a man and a goat, and it's so much more than that. And
Totally.
I found it interesting what you were saying about your character being a narcissist or anything, and I've never seen this play live. I've only read it, and every time I've read the final act, I always sort of have turned on the play a little bit because I found it incestual or or whatever. And I really loved how you all portrayed it today, because as an audience member, and I don't know if anyone else felt this, I honestly thought that it was Martin's most redeeming moment out of the play, because when Billy kisses you, that could be such a traumatic moment for somebody to be like, gross, ooh, get away from me. And instead, it was a response of, it's okay, it's okay, and it was almost such a loving moment between the father and son in a non-incestual way, to say like, I am not free to judge you in this moment. And I would have never interpreted that by me just reading it. So it was a lovely thing to see on stage. So
Same thing with the wife, the wife and the husband, just that connection that you guys had, never thought about sleeping with anybody else, never, not once, you masturbated to her, whenever you guys were on the road, like, the idea is just, what's the word I was looking for? Betrayal, and like, just that, and then the primal idea where she goes out and kills the goat and brings it to you and says, here it is, meal, like, just that connection that you guys had. Connection with you and your son, and it's just, I agree with what you said. Yeah. I'm personally, I had no idea what we were coming into. You just
I'm so sorry.
got a man fuss about, and that's all.
It's actually Carolyn's birthday, and this is how they chose to spend it.
Happy birthday!
Carolyn, are you 30 today?
Oh, 31. Yeah.
31, okay. It's not a monument, you're fine.
What a great way to spend my
Guys, thank you so much for both of those.
You don't want to tell your family.
Honestly, like, if I can just say, as a director, there's nothing in this world that is more important than having a cast that you can depend on and trust. And I've been lucky enough to work with Becky twice, and I always say, when you have a tour de force, you hand it to Becky. And I knew, as I was reading it the final few times, that she was one of the top contending actresses, that like I could set this show on her shoulders and I could watch. And Stefan, it's, he has such specific, he has very intent boundaries, and they're so good. He has such specific instincts, and honestly, they make me a better director, because Stefan is protective of his characters, and he was so adamant that Martin was not the kind of man who is incestuous upon his son like that. And it makes me a better director to have somebody who's in the driver's seat of their character, who's protective of them, to know that we're not doing this for the shock and awe of an audience, that we're protecting the integrity of a character that Edward Albee wrote. And it was probably the thing that made Stefan and I the closest, is that we protected Martin from ever conveying to the audience that he was a predator in that way. Out of anything that the audience could conceive about Martin, we were never ever going to let them think that he was preying on Billy in any way. And I think that there's a bond that you create with your actors when you have a trust in them that you're going to preserve their character in a way that's important to them. And I'm very grateful to these 4 people, to Brooke, to Randy, to Jamie, to Reed, that we have an incredibly safe space here, that we've made something that I'm incredibly proud of. And the parts, this entire production, it belongs to them. And I know that like when I step away from it, that it's so incredibly preserved, and everything that I've come to the table to convey, these people have given everything to convey it, and I just couldn't be prouder. And I'm so blown away by what they've done, and none of it would be possible without the collaboration of everyone here. And I just think that it was more than I could have ever hoped for to start our season.
Great. What a gift.
And we're just getting started.
All right. Well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you, guys.
for coming out.
Get out of here.
Appreciate it. And check us out. Save your programs. Go to our website. Follow us on Instagram or Facebook, and donate if you can. And
She didn't say
hope to see you
anything
again.
last time either, and literally she was one of 2 characters